Doctors told him he'd never recover. Now he's a University of Arizona graduate. Local leaders reach out to young people who've dropped out of high school. Looking forward to retirement? Meet Sidney Levy. At 93, he's still going strong. And a stroll down Congress Street. Welcome to Arizona Illustrated. I'm Tom McNamara. This week, America remembers and honors those who lost their lives fighting in the armed forces of the United States. Eric Castillo came very close to death on the battlefield and then was told he would never walk or talk again. But he set out to prove his doctors wrong and surprised himself with what he could achieve.
The morning of July 27, 2004, in the green zone, I had a PNCS, my Humvee, to go on a mission. I was looking inside the vehicle from my driver's door, checking the fuel, and at that point, that's when I felt something hot pierce my skull.
In a parking garage in Iraq, less than 2 weeks after his 21st birthday, Army Specialist Eric Castillo was hit by shrapnel from a nearby bomb blast and fell to the ground. Fellow soldiers surrounded him, trying to tend to his wounds.
I just remember looking up and seeing their faces, like, man, I'm messed up.
When he awoke, weeks later, from a medically induced coma, Eric discovered just how severe his injuries were.
When I saw, nobody with that type of skull could be alive, and that was me. This is actually a recreation of my skull, how it was after my injury. That's how much I was missing after the bomb blast, because the right side of my skull shattered.
For this generation, for this war, traumatic brain injuries are actually the signature wound. It's estimated now that probably 10 to 20% of Iraq and Afghanistan veterans have a traumatic brain injury of some sort.
As the former lead psychologist for the Southern Arizona VA healthcare system, Dr. Michael Marks has seen the full spectrum of injuries the brain can suffer in battle.
Obviously, Eric's is a pretty extreme example where you lose 40% of your skull and a chunk of your frontal lobe. Traumatic brain injuries can go from that extreme to concussions, blast concussions, especially for this generation of veterans.
Doctors told Eric's family he would never walk or talk again.
I would think my life is over with. I don't have a future. My future is being in this bed, waking up and having doctors. I'll never have a job because I'm paralyzed. I'll never have a girlfriend. Who wants to be with somebody that's paralyzed and disfigured? That would run through my head because I felt like nothing there in that bed. I got to a point where I had kind of had enough of crying and feeling sorry for myself. And I said, what can I do? If therapy is the only way I could get out of this place, I'm going to dedicate every hour of the day to doing physical therapy. That's what I did.
Within months, Eric relearned how to stand and walk. During one particularly grueling physical therapy session, he managed to speak to his mother, who was encouraging him in Spanish.
Pause.
And she just kept repeating it. My therapist kept repeating it. And she was there for all the time that I couldn't do it. And just this isn't working. This isn't working. We tried it. This isn't working. I just turned around to my mom and I said, shut the f up. Shut the twice. And my mom goes, and Eric. And do you know what you just did? I felt bad and oh man, I just cursed out my mom. And then she goes, Eric, you talked.
Through several years of physical and psychological therapy, Eric regained his independence to a degree that surprised even traumatic brain injury expert Alex Highshaw.
When it comes to severe traumatic brain injuries like Eric's, where there's a penetrating injury, there's a loss of major brain tissue, your expectation is that there's going to be some major limitations. There's a ceiling on what a person is going to be able to do. We're never quite sure where that ceiling is, but you're always watching for, okay, at some point we're going to hit that ceiling. And Eric keeps going. We haven't been able to set that ceiling with him yet because he keeps passing any markers that we set for him. And again, it comes down to just his being oriented to do better, to keep growing.
But Eric hadn't recovered the confidence to pursue the dream that had led him to join the military in the first place, going to college.
When I was in that dark place, I was like, I'm never going to be able to go to school because my memory problems, my physical deficits, and stuff like that. So I pretty much just gave up on that. My social worker, Diane, she said, I'm a professor, I interact with students, and I believe in you. I think you could do it. Like, just give it a shot.
Eric enrolled at the University of Arizona in fall of 2010 and signed up for Marx's Supportive Education for Returning Veterans, or SERVE, program.
He was one of our best students. He would do his homework, he would turn things in ahead of time, he would approach us. Every office hour we had, he was there.
We have to give them at least a little bit of hope. If you give them hope, they can do amazing things with hope. If you just paint a dark future, like, it's easy to just give up and say, I don't want, what's the point?
Whenever he doubted himself, Eric turned to Diane Topping, the social worker who had encouraged him to pursue a college education.
We're friends out of the VA setting, even though that's not allowed. But that's how much I cared for her and she cared for me.
An exam or a written piece?
It's a separate piece.
Diane's husband, Jim, became Eric's sounding board for school assignments, and then a close friend.
At a time I couldn't put my finger on, he became part of the family. We do Christmas, we do Thanksgiving as a family. Eric is always here.
The whole time she was my social worker, she was battling cancer, ovarian cancer. The last time I spoke to her was over the phone. It was before Christmas. When we hung up that day, she pretty much told me, I love you. And at that point, I knew something really bad. She actually passed away December 31st, 2011.
After Diane's death, Eric remained close with the Topping family and committed to completing his degree.
I don't say this out of criticism, because I expect somebody who's in college to be somewhat self-absorbed. Most of the people around him are not very aware of how much trouble he's going through to learn.
The behaviors of a group.
And I suppose I wish that there was a little more awareness of that a few more people would say, I'm making good notes. Do you want me to send you a copy by email? That sort of thing. And that's a rarity. By virtue of his military culture, his disability, and the rest, he is not aloof from them, but he is somewhat apart from them.
Tonight, Eric Castillo isn't apart. With his family, friends, and classmates at his side, he's graduating.
Eric Castillo.
And more than a decade after his injury, he's still proving his doctors wrong.
It feels good that I accomplished something, but also I have the feeling of, not scary, but I'm confused what's next. I don't think about what I want to be next year. In 2 years, I don't think about that because to me it's an unknown. Every year for me it's the unknown because nobody's done it and nobody thought I would even do half the stuff that I've done. So I guess in a way, since I don't know what's possible, I don't even know what to dream of.
Education is an important key to success and opportunity in our society. Over the past 2 weeks, thousands of Arizonans graduated from high school and college. And while graduating from college can have a positive effect on one's future, those who do not graduate from high school face tough odds. Young people who drop out of high school experience a much higher rate of poverty and incarceration, limiting opportunities and costing taxpayers a hefty price tag. But with a persistent and caring message, sometimes a kid comes back to school and gets a second chance.
And I'll wait just like 1 minute, and we'll be pairing up, calling out names of the team leaders and then the community members, so you will match up. It's kind of like first day of school. Here's your person.
On July 19, 2014, volunteers from TUSD and Tucson community leaders came together to launch the Steps to Success initiative, a door-to-door effort to encourage hundreds of students who have dropped out of school to come back and ultimately graduate from high school. As an educator in Texas, TUSD Superintendent Dr. H.T. Sanchez saw this kind of grassroots effort achieve results. So he teamed with Mayor Jonathan Rothschild to bring it to Tucson.
We have all of you here to help and to reach out and to be that difference maker and to knock on the door and to be the smiling face and to be that helping hand.
John Kramkowski, a dropout prevention specialist for TUSD, helped lead and coordinate the 36 teams.
Either paired or in threes, going all over the city. But the general message is, no matter what your situation is, we have some resources that can help you get back on track towards graduation and towards educational success and life success. John
Kramkowski knows from his own experience that home visits are not a sure thing.
There's a large percentage of chance that you can go do the home visit, but there won't be anybody there.
With Brenda Hanna and Rosanna Ortiz.
After a short presentation and training session, the groups went off to find future graduates.
Myself, I kind of thought about it.
We know the risks of substance abuse. We know that the risks of being incarcerated. We know that you struggle to gain employment. We know that 75% of the prison population are high school dropouts. We know these things. We know that not graduating from high school is going to impede your success in life.
One of the teams on the move includes University of Arizona Athletic Director Greg Byrne.
If we can have any kind of a positive impact on just even one individual, that'll be obviously worth the time and energy to do that. But most importantly, today is about getting them to finish their high school diploma.
When no one was home, they left contact cards.
Are you in school?
But there was success.
Are you good? Okay. We'll finish through. Okay, bud?
Of the nearly 800 kids identified in the July campaign and a second effort this past January, 620 were reached, 283 came back, and 31 will graduate this year.
Just like we were just talking about transportation. The last two kids we've talked to have both made a commitment. They're going to go back. They're going to finish. One kid we just visited with needs a half a credit to graduate from high school. The other one was what, Greg? 2.5? 2.5 credits.
One of the people they reached that day was David Forster. Mayor Rothschild's team of volunteers made the visit.
They came to my house, the mayor and a couple other people that came by and told me, what are your plans, or do you want to finish high school? And I told them, yeah, I do. And they said, that's great, you should follow that and finish it.
He attended Tucson High, and while he was in school, he enjoyed wrestling and playing football.
Sports really taught me if you dedicate yourself, you could really make yourself better at things. You just got to show up, put the work in, and you'll succeed.
It was then, during his freshman year, life threw David a curveball when his father passed away.
He had committed suicide, and it really took a burden on me, and I wasn't really feeling school then. I just wanted to be left alone and kind of recover. I felt lost. I don't know what to do. Sports didn't really feel the same. Things just didn't feel right.
David took a year off from school to cope with his loss, but he became restless.
I didn't like it. I felt like I was wasting time. I felt like I wasn't exercising my brain. My brain's like a muscle, and you got to keep it working for it to stay fit. After that, just decided, I need to continue on with my life. Things happen, and, I can't let this slow me down.
Okay, one idea goes against another idea in your mind, and...
After encouragement from a former teammate and that home visit by community leaders, he decided to enroll at Project Moore High School.
It was a little difficult at first, a little rusty. I had to shake off some rust, definitely, and get back to the usual, waking up at 7 in the morning and then going to school, going through the classes.
Okay, here's the challenge.
David flourished at Project Moore. It was the right place at the right time.
Great decision. I mean, I love the teachers, tons of help. You know, whenever I needed something, they're right there. All the teachers across the whole school, from the math teachers, the science teachers, the English teachers, to the counselors, the principal, everyone. I could talk to any of them with any problems I have, even if it's not school related. They'll be there for me, and it's like a family here.
The head of David's family is his mother, Terry, a driving force in his life in more ways than one.
Taking me to school every day, you know, picking me up, helping me get through the loss of my father. I don't know how she did it, honestly. She works 12-hour shifts every day, and like, if she can do this and have a child, you know, I can get through high school. You know, I really buckled down to show her, like, you know, I could do this, like, I'm gonna do this for you.
David Angelo Forster.
Tonight, all that hard work and perseverance is paying off. David Forster is graduating from high school with the Project More class of 2015. He hopes to become a wildland firefighter.
I could get out there and become a productive member of society like that and doing something I love, and it'll keep me in shape because I love sports. I figured it's a good bet.
Give me one.
And it's a good bet that in the not-too-distant future, David Forster will be fighting fires and chasing his dreams.
Give Mama a kiss on the cheek.
You know, just want to have money and be successful and, you know, just what everyone else wants, American dream, you know, house, a family, a car, you know, just the basic stuff.
Community leaders and volunteers will be heading out again in July for a third Steps to Success effort. So contact TUSD Dropout Prevention for more information. Like what you see on Arizona Illustrated? Visit our webpage at azpm.org to watch and share videos from this episode. You'll also find stories from future programs, an easy way to submit your own story idea, an archive of past episodes of Arizona Illustrated, and you'll find everything you need to stay connected with public broadcasting in Southern Arizona. azpm.org. Today's graduates enter the workforce filled with ambition and dreams of the future. Chances are most are not thinking about retirement, nor has the gentleman in our next story, even after working for more than 70 years.
There are countless communities across the country where many of the retired residents embrace this chapter in their lives.
Bingo.
Taking it easy and relaxing. Sidney Levy is one of these people. He likes to sit back and be captivated by words and images at a leisurely pace, but appearances can be deceiving. There are many more dimensions to this man. Even though he is in his 90s, he is constantly on the go. Levy loves to exercise, to teach, and to learn. Retirement, in the traditional sense of the word, is not where he's focused. He has a passion for action and engagement.
Everybody has their own situation, and if they don't enjoy their work anymore, then that's unfortunate, and they should do something else. But I do everything I want to do. What do you do when you retire, you know? Well, I don't play golf.
Sidney Levy earned his doctoral degree from the University of Chicago in 1956. In the 1990s, he wrapped up his career at Northwestern University in Illinois and moved to Tucson with his wife. They wanted more sunshine and a slower pace. Levy was in his 70s then when he received the call from the University of Arizona's Eller College of Management. The marketing department had an opening.
I was retiring here, but they hired me to chair the department here, which they needed somebody at the time. I said, I'm not looking for a job. I'm too old. But they said, well, until we find somebody, 2 years. 2 years turned into 7 years. I was head of this department. And then they found a really good head person, and so I just moved down the hall.
And 2 decades later, he continues to show up for work in that office down the hall. Not because he has to, but because he wants to.
This is my life. I love doing it. I love working with these young people. I love writing papers, going to conferences. I don't do a semester-long class, but I will take an individual class on a particular topic or a doctoral seminar.
That is a favorite activity, interacting with students whenever possible. And they are thrilled by the opportunity.
He has a real fire in him and a real love for what he does, and it's really nice to be in an environment where you're surrounded with people who really, really love what they do rather than complaining about it.
Well, what do you think about that problem?
Sidney Levy is described as a powerhouse in the world of marketing and consumer behavior, one of the top contributors on these topics in the 20th century. He has written or been mentioned in countless papers and books about these subjects, including this one in the 1950s.
I wrote a very innovative article as it happened. I wrote an article called The Product and the Brand, in which I, for the first time, was published the idea that people have brand images. People didn't talk about that before this article. I'm talking about not a specific study.
I've gone in and just dropped it into his office and chatted about things. So it's incredible that here's one of the pioneers, still around, but also still accessible and just helpful.
I think it's pretty unique, but pretty amazing.
When Elena Urbina was looking for an advisor for her honors thesis, she received a PowerPoint presentation that displayed her options. As soon as Urbina heard about Dr. Sidney Levy's credentials, history, and experience, she picked him. No hesitations.
So I met with him right away and got him to sign the papers so that no one else would take him, and I'm really glad I did. It's quite an inspiration to have someone who has that depth of information. Everyone I tell about my thesis advisor is immediately very impressed and confused and shocked, but it makes sense to me.
Sidney Levy was born in 1921. He grew up in a poor Chicago neighborhood and never even thought he'd be able to afford a university degree, but international affairs would change his life. At the age of 20, World War II was just beginning. He joined the Army Air Force, and after 2 years in the service, a college education became reality. With 2 years' worth of the GI Bill, he embraced his studies enthusiastically. He completed his bachelor's degree in less than 3 years. The educational momentum was underway.
And they said, "You should get a PhD. You're a smart guy." I said, "What do I have to do that?" They said, "You learn everything about some topic, and then you add to it." And I said, "Well, I could never do that." But then I met other doctoral students on campus, and I thought, heck, if they can do it, so can I.
He did get that PhD while having met the love of his life, Babette Adler. Together, they traveled the world, collected artwork, and forged new friendships. They were together for more than 50 years until she passed away in 2005.
She was just a fabulous, fabulous woman. I can't talk about her because I'll start to cry.
To this day, Sidney Levy is as involved as ever. His agenda is constantly expanding.
He carved these so beautifully, so carefully. We were in his studio, he's sitting on the floor. There's no reason to stop doing this as long as I have my health. I don't have my health totally. I'm an aging body like anybody else, and I'm losing my hearing, I'm losing my central vision, but I'm energetic, I swim, I can run up and down stairs. I'm a 10-year survivor of a quadruple heart bypass. Anyway, that's who I am, that's what I do, and that's why I keep going. I go to opera, I go to concerts, I go to plays, I travel to other countries. So why would I stop doing all these things? To what end?
By the way, Dr. Levy turns 94 this week. Happy birthday from all of us at Arizona Public Media. Everyone has their own special place, somewhere where you can be yourself, be present, and perhaps if you're lucky, sense the future. For architect Paige Rept, an intersection in downtown Tucson offered both.
What is it about a place that makes it your favorite? Maybe it's the way a space makes you feel, or the memories made that remain vivid no matter how much time has passed. For me, this sense of place is embodied by two buildings and the spot right between them, the middle of Congress Street, between Hotel Congress and the Rialto Theater. Since moving here in 1992, my life has revolved around these buildings and that mid-street spot in particular. The vibrant Hotel Congress, which first opened in 1919, was the playground of my young adult life. I credit it with nurturing downtown from its infancy to the energetic entertainment district we all know and love today. Across Congress Street lies the Rialto Theater. Not much to look at back in '92, but after a major renovation, she sure does sparkle. During Club Crawl, one spring evening back in 2000, Congress Street was packed. It looked lived in, sort of like it does now any given Thursday. While crossing the street, I spied her, the girl I would eventually marry. 7 years later, we said our vows on the stage of the Rialto. I've been to both Hotel Congress and the Rialto for countless events and shows, and each time I am reminded how this part of Tucson has shaped my life and given me so much. If you are ever in need of some entertainment, head downtown. See what it's like in the middle of Congress, the heart of Tucson's resurgence. I can't promise you that you will find true love, but who knows? There is so much happening there now, anything is possible. Just be careful and quick about it. The new streetcar is running. It's quiet, and I would hate to think you got run over on Congress Street because of me.
Share your favorite place on the Arizona Illustrated page at azpm.org. Thank you for joining us here on Arizona Illustrated. A reminder that you can watch all of our stories on the Arizona Illustrated webpage at azpm.org. We'll be taking a bit of a break over the next 2 weeks, then return in June when we'll head back up to Lemon Rock Lookout. We'll check in with Michelle Curlew from our documentary Winning by Living, One Cancer Story, and a special Father's Day episode of Arizona Illustrated. I'm Tom McNamara. Thanks for watching and see you soon.